Okay, well, good morning, everybody. This is Tuesday at 10, the live stream, and we're going to do block 3. Let's see. Oh, let's have it right side up. There we go. Blockheads 3. This one is by Betsy. I can't pronounce her last name, sorry. Chuchian. Anyway, it's a beautiful block. It looks like the lily right here. It's called the Crown and the Star. Perfect for Easter week for those of us who celebrate Easter. And a beautiful flower for those of us who don't. I actually thought it was a lily block. That's what I would have called it. So we're going to start working on it. I'm going to tip the... good morning, Jess. Thank you. I'm going to tip my iPad so that you can see my sewing space a little better. I won't be able to see very much, so I've learned, but the good news is I can see the text. So I think this will be good. Okay, we're going to learn some techniques today, which I think is really cool because I've changed up, and I'm going to tell you what I changed up on the cutting. If you've already cut according to the directions, sorry, that's my iron. I'm going to wake it up. It stays awake. Take my steam off. Okay, so I redid the cutting so that we could make a flying geese unit an easier way than they said to do it. They had you cut the triangle and then put triangles on each corner. So when we get to that, I will tell you. But right now I'm going to tell you what I did for the cutting because I dutifully wrote it down. So to create the G blocks, oh, also I did the half square, set it up for half square triangles like we did last week. We're going to be doing those too. So for the G blocks, I cut 4 2.5-inch squares. G, let me find it on here, of the background. F blocks, I cut oh, here's the thing. I cut said 4 2.5 squares, but I'm believing now it's 4 2-inch squares. Probably should have changed that. I'll look. I'll measure my blocks when we get there. And for the base of for the C, where it says C right here, well, you can't see. I'm not pointing at it very carefully. Where it says C on the pattern C blocks, I cut them 2 by 3.5 rectangles. Which they had you cut them D. Okay. So that's what I did different. And when I get to it, I'll explain it because clearly I'm not explaining it very well right now. But good morning, Laura, Sharon. Oh, awesome. Donna, this is so cool. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. I always wonder who's going to actually tune in this morning. So we're going to start right at the beginning, the assembly directions. One says create 8 half square triangles using 8F triangles and 8B G triangles. So F is the navy. Okay, so we're going to start with that, and I paired them up together for me. Anyway, for me, it's my navy squares, and then G is background. So, and F and G I cut 2.5 so that I could bring them down to the correct size. And the reason, and the way you know what the size actually is you compare that the F and G squares have to touch the D rectangles, and the D rectangles have a height of 2. So I cut the 2.5 rather than 2 3/8. I added that little extra bit so we can use the Tucker trimmer. So the first thing I'm going to do is draw a line down the 4 background ones. It's lighter, it's easier to see the lines on, so I'm just drawing them right down the center. Point to point, I'm going to quickly draw them. And this week, I am going to not have the pencil line show up, and I have a confession I'm going to show you before I get started. Oh my gosh, I did actually rip out that pencil, the block that had the pencil line, made a new block, put it in there. I did that because I really did try and erase it first, and I used my eraser, and I suppose, Jess, you could have told me a better eraser to use. Oh, Michelle, hey, good morning. This is so great to see everybody here. Anyway, I couldn't erase the line clearly, and so I said, by the time I spend all this time trying to erase it, I could have replaced it and put it in there. And ultimately, I think, so I wasted a little fabric doing that. It was my bad, my mistake. So, okay, I have my lines drawn, and now I'm gonna sew them. You can see that I don't know if you can really see, but yes, you can, blue painter's tape on here. It has nothing to do for the half square triangles, but everything to do when we start sewing the flying geese. So you'll see them. Now I'm putting these right sides together, and I'm doing it all so that I don't flip through and have the wrong side going for me. And I chose the star fabric for my navy just to add I have actually 2 new fabrics in here. This block only takes 3. Excuse me, I'm drinking seltzer. It's making me very burpy a little bit. Sorry, apologize for that. It's only 2 fabrics plus a background. So here we go. This time we're going to sew down a 1/4 inch away from each of the lines. I run my 1/4 inch foot right down sort of on that line because it makes it a scant 1/4 inch by doing that. Making my 4 half square triangles. Oh, look at this, see? Today I caught myself. I lined the right way up. Okay. Let's see if I can do this block without any mistakes today. Not that I'm worried about it. So I hope you all had a great week. We had a kind of quiet week here. I got my Easter bunny quilted. I'll bring it over and show it to you at the end of the live stream. And if I forget, somebody put it up in the chat and go, we want to see it. I got it all quilted. And my husband rightly said that the backing fabric would not make a good binding, even though that was my original plan. You guys can chime in. And if that's the case, Sharon, I might have to ask you to see if you have any orange or something that would go better with my Easter bunny, because I do not have any volume on pink or orange in my, or I could just use the same lime green that I used for the background, but I think it'd be kind of fun. Or I could use white. Maybe that's what I'll do. I don't know. Anyway, back around the other side, stitch down both sides. Okay. These just seem so big after I made all those tiny ones last week. It's amazing what like a 1/2 inch will do, you know? So one more to stitch and a few more. All right, I have my 4 done. Going to stack them because it doesn't matter if they're perfectly. I can just use the pucker trimmer to do this cut, my rotary cutter. All right, the directions are in my way. Let's just do it as neat as possible. Okay, cut it right down the middle. And then I'll put these 2 on top of each other. Okay, it's really warm out here, or nicely warm out here, but my workroom got really cold last night. So again, I'm cold in here. I have my heater on and my iron on, which just went to sleep. So we're gonna wake it up again. And I'm done talking too much. Okay. You should use the darker green too. Oh, you could use a darker green too. That's a great idea. This green I definitely have in my stash. Okay, so now these are separated, and I'm going to neaten it up a little bit. So we're going to use the tucker trimmer. We want this to finish 2 inches, right? So well, actually, that's not true. Let's back it up, because the rectangle is cut 2 by 3.5. Okay, that's that's what the D piece is actually cut. Okay, not finished. So we need to cut this down to, so this is 2. So we're going to put the, which makes sense because I was having a little freak out there. We're going to put the 2. Okay, we're using the whole dot side, and we're putting this line. This is where, I don't know if you can read it, but this is where the number 2 is. It's a solid line right here, number 2, and I'm going to put that just so I can see my threads of the stitching line, and then I'm going to cut on both sides. All right, my mat's a little off. I'm not going to move it because that'll knock the computer down. All right, so I'm putting it down right there. All right. It's kind of a trick cutting super in close to myself. I'm going to move a little closer and hopefully you can see. I took the tape off because that I had marked for where the computer's supposed to go, because I was cutting into it doing my regular cutting. So I apologize if you can't really see this, but I need the elbow room to get my arm over my sewing machine. All right, there's 2. Okay. 3. And I was talking over with my editor, Jess, Dave's wife, on the chat. I was trying to think what to put up. I put up the Posh Bunny video in case you haven't seen it. And so if you want to make it, you can buy the pattern from So Kind of Wonderful and download the PDF from their website, which is exactly what I did. And it was actually very fast to make. There aren't a ton of curved pieces to throw in there. It's and they're just the 2. You'll see I demonstrated how to do it and cut it, and if it's not clear, you can reach out to me. But I thought what I might do is put short little videos up, like, you know, using the tucker trimmer, but you know, doing half square triangles and showing different ways to do them, because not everybody has this tool that I'm using right now. And so I can demonstrate how to square up and half square triangles and how to make them and do different ways. And I'll just put it up there, and then it'll be up there forever. And I think my husband just completed a workout because my watch just binged. And then and I was thinking about flying geese. There's lots of ways to make flying geese. Today we're going to make it one way, or I'm going to make it one way. But sorry, the ruler moved. And so I'll do flying geese. And if you think of other techniques that you would like to see, you can either put it up in the chat today, or you can text me or email me, and I'll do a video on how to do those techniques, all the different ways. All right, I'm actually putting this in my trash barrel. I'm not going to go sweep up my floor again. All right, so anyway, I think it'd be kind of fun. They'll be up there. You can check in. You go, oh man, I have to do this with this block. How do I do it? Till we're together, and you can actually ask me. That's what I'm going to do. So now the deal is to press them open. When I press open half square triangles, I open them the direction I want them to go, and I gently finger press it so that it's, you know, actually I press it closed first, then I flip it open and gently lift it up with hand finger press. That's the word. Man, think it's kind of crazy when you're just talking to yourself. Well, I guess I forget words anyway. All right, so flip it up there, finger press it, and then press it. And I'm going in the direction of the dark because looking over the pattern pretty quickly, I can see that it looks like it's not really going to be an issue until get to the except for the intersection when I put the quilt together, the block together. So we'll just check that out. Okay, so I'm going over to press it, and then I'm going to clip my corners, and I'll be back. But I'll keep talking. I think you'll be able to hear me. Not too much pressing and distance going on. All right. And nice little 2-inch squares. Oh, the iron's warm. It's warming my hands up. All right. I guess they said I'd keep talking, and I'm not, but I'm almost done with them. And I can heat up multiple ones at the same time. So I hope you're all still doing really well. I hope you're all staying healthy. I made 10 masks for a gentleman who runs a home health aid company and didn't have masks for his employees. So I made 10. I don't know how many employees he has, but they are all taking care of elderly or people that have compromised immune systems or are somehow disabled, and so it's super important for their own safety and for the safety of the people that they are working with. So but I have no more elastics, so I guess I'm noticing that people are making them with ties. So I'm gonna start making them with ties. And okay, there we go. Beautiful half square triangles, all set. These are our half square triangles. So that was the first step. Step 1, it says, all right, trim. I didn't tell you. I'm making the 12-inch size of the block because I just like the look of the flower, and I already have the 6-inch size, 1/6-inch, and I looked ahead. I want to make the next week 6 inches because then I can sort of start sewing my blocks together maybe to decide whether I want sashing between them. All right, I digress. So it says sew them together, trim the half square triangles, 12-inch block, 2 inches unfinished. So that's what I have, 2 inches unfinished. Okay, now it says they're now making the flying geese, okay? Half of them are made with the navy, and half of them are made, this is my second color, it's one of the other blues, but it's the Solidar Reading. I just thought they went well together. So this is how we're going to do it. I cut these 2 inches square. I think I said 2.5 earlier. I just think I didn't go back and change my pencil marks, which I will, because if I ever make this again, would probably just go by my pencil marks. Okay. All right. So we're going to now take the rectangles. Okay. And listen, I don't want to end up having all of them on one side than the other. So there's 4 navy ones and 4 of the blue. So I'm going to stack 4 of my 2-inch navy squares together because I'm going to just chain piece them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and I think, yeah, this does have a right side and a wrong side, and then 4 of the blue, and right there, stacked up. All right, actually, Good catch. I only need 3 of the navy because I already made one. I had to test it out, make sure it worked, because how embarrassing would that be if I said, oh, this is how you do it, and then it didn't work. I mean, I can laugh at myself, but still better than wasting your time. So now we're going to take the background 2 by 3.5. Okay, you can see that it fits right on top of that. Well, if I could hold it correctly, fits right on top of my flying geese unit. So this is why I put the tape on there. It's a short enough distance that you can eyeball it, but having the tape just is like an extra little tool. So let me talk about the tape for a minute for those of you who I haven't taped up your machines in the past. What I did was I took a ruler that has a nice identifiable 1/4 inch mark, and you can see on this creative grids there's a difference, a frost to light. You can see the dotted line. So, and actually this is, I lied, that's for when I do the 1/4 inch seam. This is for, you just need a ruler with this, you need any straight edge. Okay, and what you're going to do is you're going to raise your you're going to put your needle down and raise your presser foot up. You're going to put the ruler underneath your foot. Okay, now I'm not going to drop my presser foot down because it'll probably break my ruler, because I have my mat pushed all the way over and it's a good 1/8 of an inch tall and it will torque my ruler. But if you're at home and what I did was I slid my mat out of the way, I'll knock the computer off. Okay, and so what I've done is I can't see what that is, it's a symbol. All right, so I put this ruler right up against the needle, okay? Right up against it. And then I've run the tape right along the edge of the ruler. I drop it down. So now it's perfectly in line with the needle, okay? But it's perfectly in line with the left side of the needle, okay? We want it to go right down the center. So you could ooch it off just a hair, but what I'm going to tell you is you are all brilliant people and you can adjust for that tiny little bit. You just need to know that information. Okay, so now I take the, I gotta put my needle, presser foot down now. I'm going to put my piece so that okay. So in making this flying geese unit, all right, you could just draw a line corner to corner, from this corner to this corner, okay? And you could sew just off that, because remember I say every single time a line has thickness, that line has thickness, and thread has thickness, and you have to fold this up over the thickness of that thread, okay? And so we want to stitch just the thickness of the thread off the line. So if you essentially stitch down one side of the line so that you can still see the line, for me that turns out perfect. I know Jenny at Missouri Star, she takes these all to the iron and folds them up. They're ultimately going to be pressed up that way anyway. And then she stitches in the ditch that she's created. I find that hard to do. That's just me. That's another thing you can try. But with the tape here, I don't need to draw the line. What I'm going to do is drop the needle down just a hair off the corner, away towards the side you're folding to. So in each case, it's going to be towards this upper point on the flying geese unit, okay? And so I'm going to make sure that I'm just to the off that point by, like, really essentially when you pull it off your machine, it's going to look like you hit the point. Because if you try to hit the point, you end up missing the point anyway. So I'm going to drop my needle down like that, and I'm going to take a few stitches. Now, you remember, I'm going to run my point down right along the edge of the tape, not on the tape, because that point I want to be to the left of is to the right of my machine, of my hand. So I'm running it down so it's just so I can see the whole tape next to it. That's how little it is. It hardly takes up any space, but it just makes you more accurate if you pay attention to that. And I'm just going to stitch right down that. I'm going to stitch right down. And then when the tape runs out, because you don't want to tape over your feed dogs, You just watch where that point, not the needle, you watch the point and you just slow down and you get right there and stop. Perfect. I'm going to stitch the next one through, okay, so that you can see me stitch another one, and then I'm going to show you what it looks like. And so I take a few stitches, make sure everything's adjusted, run that right down the edge of the tape. Okay. Now I'm going to snip this one out so that you can see it. Okay, you can see it. Now I'm going to go press it and show you what it looks like pressed. Okay, look at that. It pretty much matched up perfectly. Okay, if now, heaven forbid, it doesn't, we have a fix for that too, and I'll show you that on another one. But I'm just going to take my scissors, cut my, well, these are horrible scissors, those are my thread ones. I'm just going to cut straight along that edge. You could drop your rotary cutter in there. You could decide you sewed perfectly and you could just do it, but I don't. I always check myself. Okay, so I'm just going to chain piece these as we go along. All right. Yeah. Running it right along the tape. Okay. Oh, I cut a little extra of these. Maybe I was afraid they weren't going to work. So I cut practice ones, saved them for another block. I got really good at doing this tape method. I did not create the idea. I learned it someplace, some class. I've been taking classes for a long time. I started using it full bore with the Elizabeth Hartman pieces because she does a lot of what people call stitch and flip on the corner. She doesn't do a lot of half square triangles, but she does a lot of just one extra one. It's probably because I was doing a practice. So I probably cut extra of the navy too. Oh, this looks too big here. Let's just double check it. No, it's just my imagination. It's just the way the stars are hitting. Made it look bigger. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to cut these apart, but by pressing that one and trimming it, I can continue to chain by doing the other side. So I need 4 of these now. I think I like this darker one here. Somehow I have 5, so such a good, I guess I'm really good at counting. So now I'm doing this other one, okay, the other side, and you can see it's going to flip. Now the point that it's flipping to is toward my mat, not toward the end, into my machine. So now I want to run the on the inside of the tape. So I want to run that point just on the inside of the tape. So I'll get it started. Okay, I'm running that tape. I don't know if you can see it. I'll move my other hand out of the way just so it goes just inside the tape, not off it, inside. I'm just going inside. I have to use both hands to steer it. Sorry, people. Okay, now I told you I'd show you what happens if you do them wrong. I'm going to take them all to the ironing board and press the other ones. if you press it up and you see that you're within the seam allowance, but you can see some of the fabric back there. Well, this probably isn't a good one to look at because it's harder to see the difference. Let's do this one here. It's got to be within the seam allowance. You can just cut, instead of cutting both layers of fabric off, just cut this piece off, because then when you go to sew, you can line up with this edge right here, and you know you have your accurate seam allowance. If that was clear as mud, just let me know and I'll try and say it a different way. All right, I'm going to press these, make sure they're right. If any of them are off, I'll be honest, I'll show you what I mean. Here's hoping I did them all correctly. Okay, now going to trim them. I'm trying to think if you can see the white behind any of these. Maybe this one a little bit. You can just see a little bit of the white there. But given that the corner matches up, I'm going to trim both fabrics away because I will actually line it up corner to corner. So, but I tell you, this really works. So I'm just going to cut this off. Now, if you are making bigger flying geese, or you want wicked tiny half square triangles, you can sew a 1/2 inch away from this line right here. So you can run this down your 1/2 inch line on your sewing machine and then cut down the middle, and you have a half square triangle here, and you're not wasting any of that fabric. I did that actually for a project, and I never did anything with the half square triangles, but I finished them and I have them in a box. So someday I'll make something with them, or I'll donate them to somebody who wants to make something with them. And more than likely I'll make like a scrap quilt. So once we have these flying geese done, we'll have the whole unit done. Did anybody do anything, well, like we did anything fun, work on any fun projects this week? I mean, I worked on the bunny. And my husband and I went to Halibut State Park, which I'd never been to, and I'm sure that all of you have been to it. I didn't even know it existed. That's kind of silly. Kind of wish I'd known, though. When the family was all here Thanksgiving, it was too cold and miserable to go there. But there's a beautiful quarry, and we had so much fun just like playing on all the rocks. I put a video up on Instagram, those of you that follow me on Instagram, of the water. The nor'easter was just finishing, so the waves were there. There were actually people who were surfing. Go figure, they were actually surfing in the water there, and we were able to keep really far apart. I have to say there were like a few times when we had to pass people on a more narrow path, and but on the main path you could be the 6 feet apart on one side of the path or the other. It's like crossing the road when you're walking. Sorry, my runny nose. I have allergies, and it's cold in my workroom. So, but when this is all over, I'm going back there again, and we'll probably go. We got there and there were a lot of people. We were like, oh, we shouldn't go, and we waited till they all sort of disappeared into the park because there's lots of trails. Well, there are several trails. I wouldn't say lots. It's about a mile. We walked about a mile going around the area and playing on the rocks. So it's not super huge, but it's super gorgeous. Oh my goodness. And a ton of fun to climb around on the rocks. All right, so I'm setting this up, and here's the corner. I want to flip to, so I'm making sure that I'm doing the, on this one right here, I'm doing the run off the tape, just so I can just see the tape with my point. Just see the tape with my point. And I'm sewing them right down. Oh, I have to get the last one from here and press this one. Oh, this will be the first one done. There we go. That's why I didn't have an extra one. Okay, look at that. I'm going to clip it off, the background off, but we have our first completed flying geese. I finished the top up to my... Oh, nice! Your chain linked quilt. I can't wait to see it. Oh my gosh. I cannot wait to see it. Where did I put all these? Okay. All right. Here we go. And then this one. We're getting there. We're totally getting there. Okay, now the navy ones. There's a little thread hanging off here. Okay, put this on here. Now this time the point, well, this time the point's in here again too. All right, so sometimes I get carried away and I get to the wrong side. And if you get to the wrong side, you definitely have to rip out. It's like, it does make it off just enough that this is the navy we're going on down the tape. And I just love this idea. It just, because I don't know about you, but if I don't have to draw a line, I don't want to do it. I just would prefer to do it the easy way. And it does take a little getting used to where you're watching. Okay, now just run this through, go to the iron, and we should have, voila, hopefully, all of our flying geese. And you know, if it matches the background, you at least have the right size shape, and hopefully you have a 1/4 inch down. Well, I guess you can't see that. The 1/4 inch seam, your seam allowance, so that you hit your point. We'll see how good I hit my points today. Okay, voila, there they are, and we have our half square triangles, and I think we'll see how it goes. We'll see what the next step is. I'm putting blocks together for my snowball disappearing 4 block, but my points keep getting cut off. I need a tutorial for, oops, I have to read down lower, sorry, for keeping your points. Okay, your snow, all right, cool, we will do that. That's perfect. I think one of the number one things that the mistake that happens is knowing. I have to remember which ones I cut and which ones I didn't. This one's a little iffy. This one's a little close. Maybe I've distracted myself. I'm sewing that one, but I think it'll line up fine. Take a risk. Live dangerously. All right. That's what we did going to that park, but we'll know in 14 days, I guess. But we were pretty far apart from people, but the wind was blowing pretty hard. So, and there was a guy, the divers, they were, not divers, the surfers, they were, well, we saw one guy coming out of the park, and and then there were 3 or 4 in the water, and then there was one gentleman on land with a whistle, and he was watching the surf for them, and he would blow his whistle. All right. No, it's okay. I was going to say it's a little far, but far is better than too short, I think. Okay, those are my pieces. I'm not keeping them. In the trash they go. Okay, so we have our 4 flying geese. I thought it was pretty cool. He was directing them, and he was explaining to this couple. We were up the hill from him, listening to him. They were explaining to the couple how he was directing them, and he also was explaining how hard it was for them with the wave height to keep the waves were really tall. Like if we were in our boat, I'd been a little nervous, and they were out there in it, and it was coming right up to the rocks. So, okay, so 12-inch says unfinished 2 by 3.5. We have them. Okay, so now we're going to complete the center block. We're going to make the center of it, which is the star. We're going to now make this center star right there. Okay, so that means we need our 3.5-inch block. Let's see, I guess this is better viewing. The screen looks so weird to me, so I apologize, guys, if I'm like moving things around. And this goes here like this, this, and this. See how it's making the star right here? And then we have these squares that go in the corner. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and that's the center of our block. So that's what she wants us to make first. So we're going to do that. To do that, I'm just flipping. It's like a 9 patch. So I'm going to sew up the row like this and just chain piece it. I don't know. I used to think it'd be fun to surf, but not like where you end up crashing into the rocks. So there we go. Just putting this right on here. Now, when you see it, you know the point where that point is because you can see it, right? But when you're sewing, don't guide for that point, because if you guide for that point, you're going to miss it. I'm just telling you right now, you're actually going to hit the point. And remember, thread has thickness. You don't want to hit the point. You want to be just a tad off it. So just sew your 1/4 inch and just go for it, and then adjust. But I will tell you, it's like super hard not to aim for it. Can I just say, like, I would aim. I have to remind myself, and by talking like this, it's much easier to do that. Sort of not aim for it is what I'm looking for. Okay, putting these on here. Oh, come on, catch it. I wasn't so happy. Okay, I can just put one of these through. Now these middle pieces are big enough that I'm actually going to just turn around, and before I go to the iron, I'm going to sew the other pieces. So I'm just matching them up the correct way so that we have it fit right back in there. And I'm just going to flip this over. Line this baby up. Put this one on. Fits right on there. today I think is going to be the best day here where we are. And so when this is all said and done, and we have our beautiful block and we're all set up for next week, I want to talk about next week before we sign off. I am going to go outside for a walk because I think it's even going to cloud up this afternoon. And I missed it yesterday working on the bunny. I finished quilting that bunny, and I was disappointed with myself because by the time I went to sit outside and read, it was too cold. I had to go back inside. All right, I'm going to press these, and I'm pressing these to the solid blocks, to the non-piece blocks, because that'll make it nestle. Okay, now I'm going to put these together. Oh, I love this color. Okay, now we're going to put this right in here. And I'm matching up the seams and putting a pin on either side of my nestled pins. My nestled seams. But I'm pinning the whole row. I'm going to pin both rows, then I can just flip it around. Now what you could do is find the center of the block. You could find the center and put a pin in the center to match it, but it fit. Yay! It actually fit. Sometimes I have to fudge things, you know. We're all human. It doesn't always come out the way you want it. We'll see. That moved off a little. I don't usually pin the outside like that. All right, nestle that right in there. Oh, that's just a okay. Pin the middle. All right, here we go. I didn't like going over that bump. I wonder if I need a new needle. I went a little wonky there on the end, which happens when you stop paying attention right at the end. So I'm going to I started thinking about grabbing my little tail. That's all it takes, but we'll see if it's too bad. I'll come back and resew it. We'll see what kind of points I have. The verdict's out. Okay, ready to press. Oh, Jim says to watch your finger. What's going on with my finger? Am I blocking? Oh, because it's too close to the needle, or because I'm blocking what you're seeing? Could be both. Okay. All right. There's my, I don't know, left from my right. Up and down. There's my center star. Okay, that's step 6. We're on to step 7, and there are only 8 steps altogether. 7 is complete the block assembly. Okay, so let's see what that means. That means we put these around. Yes, right here. Okay. Now my block's getting big. It's going to disappear out of the view, I think, a little bit. And then the flying geese go here. Let's get the pencil out of the way. So that one first, obviously. Now, these pieces fit. Oh, we forgot to do one part. I must have missed a step there because we don't have a solid. Oh, yes, we do. I am seeing it sewn together. Never mind, we didn't miss a step. I was like, what step did I miss? This goes, let's just do this the right way. Does it go down like that? It goes like that. There we go. Da, da, da. Okay. They're going to run into each other, so I'm going to make the units. I don't know why she didn't make a step to make these units. I'm just going to make these units right here. But I'll set it up so that we can see what it looks like. Set it all up. Okay, there we go. And then these go right here. Okay, and then these go in the corner of the 4 corners, all 4 corners. I'm just going to make these units next, and then we'll have a 9-patch situation again to put together. Okay, so I'm going to take this out of the way, I'm going to take this out of the way, and we're just going to make these units, and they're all the same. So when I have something like that, I stack them all the same because number one, I'm not going to get things twisted around. So let's put all the flying geese there and all the squares, corner squares, and then these. Okay, so now I'm going to make this unit right here. Okay, let's just make this unit. And the first thing, I think what I'll do is sew these 2 together, these 2 together, these like this. Okay, I'm just going to bring this down and we'll chain all these. Laura, ask Jim if he remembers mom sewing her our mom sewing her finger with the sewing machine. All right. So I was thinking about, like, now that my bunny's done, I'm going to finish my lobster. That's what I'm going to do, along with randomly making masks. I think I'm going to intersperse masks. I'm going to sew some bias tape. I'm hoping for more elastic. I'm not interested in driving all the way up to New Hampshire for it, though, so I may just order it. But there's no reason you can't use a tie. Okay, here's a good example. The square, which is right, the square or my block that I did. I'm going with the square that I cut and fitting it in. And I must have had a little issue with my ruler. See, I do show you my mistakes. All right, have all these chained in there. Definitely getting my eyes checked. He asked when she did that. We lived in Cleveland, and I probably was in 5th or 6th grade. Probably 5th, yeah, 5th or 6th grade. It's when, because I still walked home for lunch. So that must have been 5th, yeah, 5th grade, because I think in 6th grade, didn't we go over to the middle school or whatever? Wasn't that 6, 7, 8? I don't remember. But, so I think it was then. So she was super careful in teaching me how to keep my hands away. It was pretty traumatic for me. and you know, truthfully, you'd have to get your finger under there. I have caught this edge right here. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a guide for a thread guide, and I have like had my finger in close enough that somehow it hit it, but I'm not gonna say, I go knock on wood, I have not sewn my finger, got it caught. Phyllis had some oh, I didn't trim this. Good catch, good catch, good catch. Trim that out of there. You don't need the, there we go. All right. That feels better. Okay. I think I might have come home for lunch and that's when I noticed that it, or she told me that it happened. It's kind of like her hitting the hammer on the palm of her hand and she had that blood blister. At least that's what she told me how that happened. I did not see that or the aftermath, but I mean, I did see the. Okay, then it's off to the iron. And we'll put these pieces together. Oh, my iron just shut off. I almost made it, but it just shut off, so it'll warm up really fast. All right, there we go. The iron. Okay, there's that unit ironed and ready. Okay, 2 more. All right. These go on this side, each side here. And by pressing them, I always press to the least bulk or the dark if I can. But this time it's the least bulk because then these will nest. So we'll have the same nesting situation going on. So I'll nest the seams, put one pin in, and away we go. Oh. is kind of fun. Blocks coming together. And then I want to talk about what block for next week, because here's the thing. You guys can be thinking about this while I'm sewing. The block number 4 is an applique block, and I'm not doing any of the applique blocks unless you beg me, in which case I will do them. And I'll do them as fusible applique, or you could do them, or I could have a guest speaker, my sister-in-law Laura, who could do the needle turn. I know how to do it, and she's taught me, and I'm slowly working through this project that I will be 90 when I'm done. It's the snowman that we worked on at Houston, and I do actually work on it, and someday I will finish it. But but they provide alternatives for the applique blocks each time they have them there. And on week 4, they put up, I think, 3 different choices, or at least 2. I think I printed out 2, unless the third one's hiding inside the paper, which, inside the sleeve that I have stored them in. So in which case, I will show you all the ways. But all right. Now this is like an adjustment. This block, I'm going to show you after I pin it so that you might be able to see it. When your block is off, and you can see that this block is just a tiny bit smaller all the way around, so I'm centering it sort of in that smallness space. This will correct this seam, and when I sew this seam, that little bit will be corrected, but it all fits in the seam allowance. We can't all have a perfect block all the time, but this way I'm not making, by pinning it like this, I'm not continuing that mistake and making it go farther out. I'm allowing it to be in the seam allowance. Yep. Okay. Okay, these centers are all sewn, and I'm now going to press them, and I think I'm going to see which way makes the most sense. I'm going to press them away from the center. It seems to be wanting to be the way it wants to lie down. Okay, now let's put it back together. Here they are. And they should all fit. So now we'll have a 9 patch. We have all our pieces here. Da, 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 da. We have all our pieces. And now our 4 cornerstones go in. Doesn't look quite so overwhelming. There we go, just like that. So I'm going to just chain piece right down and put my center stones in. Flip that around. There we go. Okay, put this on here. Now this actually has seams that match, that line up, and because of the way I chose to press it just by choice, it's nesting in there perfectly. So that was a little miracle. I didn't think about that ahead. And I would have flipped them if they needed to be flipped. But they don't need to be flipped. So I was worried about getting bird food, like of all things, like not a super high priority because the birds can forage for themselves, but they're so much fun to observe and have hanging out. So I called the store where I buy the bird food because they offer a deal, and I buy the safflower seed so that the so that the grackles don't want to eat it because they don't like it. It's too much work for them for not enough reward, I guess. And so they said they're doing curbside. So literally you call, you order like you were ordering online, you give them your credit card, and then you oh, I was like, that's wrong. There should be another one right here. Here it is. You pay with your credit card, you call when you get to the store, and the guy comes out, you pop your trunk, and he'll put it right in your trunk for you, but he just brought it. I said, just bring it across the parking lot and put it down. He puts it down, he goes back to the stoop, and he says, thank you, and he goes back in. It's like, we got birdie food. Now I'm super happy because when I sit on the exercise bike, I watch the birds. Okay, I'm putting these back in here. I'm going to chain the other sides. So obviously that one's still in there. So I'm going to flip and put this one on. Okay. And Donna will see how good my points are when I get to the end. I'm going to pull this one out so I remember it has to be done. All right, this one needs to be lined up. I'm going to pin these edges, nestle these right here. The middle here. Okay. We're getting there. I can't wait to see it finished. All right, and this one goes on right here. Okay, these are little extra things. All right, let's press them again. I'm pressing to the center on this middle one and to the outside on towards the white on the top and the bottom. That's pretty good. Okay, so there's the top and the bottom, but I noticed when I pressed, I don't know if you can see that it's off right here. It might have slipped when I was stitching. So if I look back, I can see that it didn't really slip much, so I must have it off. So I'm going to rip it out to there, and I'm going to fix that before I go on, because I know it's going to drive me crazy, and why not fix it when it's easier to fix? So I'm just going to do that. It won't take very long. We'll just set it up to do. I'm just ripping down to that spot. At least I didn't lose the point, so that was good. So I'm going to pin it differently, and we'll check it out and see if that makes a difference. I just sort of lined them up and hoped, and I think it just slipped down. Yeah, I can see that it slipped down now that I'm ripping it from this side. So I just either need more pins or okay. So now I'll pull the little threads out because I hate pulling them out later. Get them out on this side. All right, come on, pick them up. There we go. I think you're supposed to be able to use the eraser thing on this, but it doesn't work for me. And it's probably because I've had my hand on it so much. I have no clue. So if you want to make sure that it matches, you can poke a pin in right where that seam is, okay? Which I don't have, it's right there, just about, okay. I don't know if you can really see this very well, but I'm poking the pin in right there, and then it has to match right there, okay? That's where it has to match. So now I'm bringing the pin straight up and down, okay? And put a pin on, leaving it straight up and down, and put a pin on this side. And then I'm just going to bring this back here. Mostly it's for the height because it seemed to have gone down, dropped down, okay. And let's just hope, let's just see how it goes. Now I need to bring this out and start. I'm not going to restitch the whole, you could stitch the whole way down again, but why? Just going to drop it in down here. And now I'm just stitching, doing my 1/4 inch. And let's just see how it goes. Let's see how it looks. Hopefully it looks better. All right. Ah, well, it does look better. That's good enough. That I will leave. All right. I'm going to just give it a little quick press. So, since I mucked around with it. It does look better. It's not perfect, but neither am I. So, now we're going to put our rows together, and they should all nest. And we'll have our lily block done. Or what's it called? Crown and star. I'm not going to be so lucky with the, yes, I can speak, with the way that they're going to nest on this one. I'm going to have to flip this seam here, which is fine. It's open. You can flip a seam that's open on the bottom all the way down. So I'm just going to flip it with the iron after I'm done sewing the pieces, but I'll have to pin it in there so that, and I'm going to have to flip it on both sides, obviously. If I have to flip it on one, I have to flip it on the other. It's going to make it easier to see how that lines up, because I'll see that intersection. And we'll pin this right here. All right, and I'm going to pin this one right here, and then we will talk about the block 4, which one we want to do. Maybe I can pull them out while I'm sewing here. Flip these. If this was a longer seam that I was flipping, I would take it to the iron and flip it before I was sewing it. And I hope I don't regret the decision not to, but it's a shorter seam. So I think it will behave itself nicely. So we will see. You know, you never know. It's going to work or it's not going to work. Okay. You know, it's kind of cool with the navy. I can see the point through my background. So hopefully I won't chop it off when I sew. Oh, I need my needle down back on. I love it when my foot just pops up like that. Alrighty. Okay. Last seam. The last seam in the block's done. I can't believe it. I think I wavered a little there, but we'll see. Okay, let's just see how it looks. Hold your breath. I'm gonna flip those seams. Press it flat. Alright. I think it looks good. Let me get the other things out of my box here, the block 4 choices, and I will tip this baby down, my computer down so that I don't have to stare at the mat and you can see me better. Okay, I can sit back in my chair. There we go. Awesome. This is much more comfortable. So here is the block done. Yay! I think it looks pretty good. Up on my design while it goes. I'll take a picture of it and post it as the thumbnail. Let's see if I'm working on seeing if I could change it. Okay, so here's the choices. Are you ready? All right. We have you can find these on there when you click them. This is the schoolhouse. Okay, and I actually wrote the directions on this, so I only had to print out one sheet of paper. This is like a modified churn dash. Not really a churn dash. Let's see, there we go. No matter what, I'm gonna do a 6.5. Oh, that's the cutting instruction. So those are the two choices that are not the applique. And if you guys want to just do the applique on your own, that's fine. I'm gonna do. I'm lobbying for the schoolhouse, but I will make. Actually, I'll just make both of them, so that you can see both of them. Because if some people want one and some want the other, then I'm going to do it. Okay. And and Donna, if you're still on, can you take a picture of your quilt where the blocks are coming together and your points are getting cut off, and I can help you online. I can just help figure it out. You can email me or text me the picture, and I can help you directly with that. So I think this has been. Oh, good. I'm so glad you. Good. A vote for the schoolhouse. I'm totally psyched because that's my first choice. I just think it's fun. I've made the schoolhouse before. This is a simple one too. There's really not a lot. It's not hard. You know, looks like she did the roof different fabrics, but you know, I'm gonna do mine all. I'm gonna pick all one. I'll probably just do the solid navy fabric and the background. But I think I'll put the cream in the windows. I have the little, you know, the cream background fabrics in the fat quarter bundle, and I'm going to stick those in there for the door and the windows. So that's awesome, you guys. I hope that you've enjoyed this. I have no idea how long. Oh, we've been on for an hour and a half. That's pretty darn cool. I just live for this time. I just love that we can all be together, and I think it's awesome that we're sewing this together. And when we all get back, if you're working on it, I'm not saying you are, but for those of you that are working on it, we can have like a show and tell, and also we could set up like a virtual quilt show. I'll see if I can figure out a way to set that up. So maybe even before we're done, so we can put our projects up. And when I finish my lobster, I'm going to pick out other quilts that I have kitted up, because you guys know I have like 8 million projects going, and I will sew them together. And I also have my stuff that I bought when I was out in Tucson. Okay, did I show you guys all this? I bought the kit to make. I guess I actually put the pattern away. Go figure. I left the fabric there. A kit to make a desert. It's a raw edge applique where the quilting holds the edges down. I'm not sure I'm brave enough to do that. I may actually seal all that, you know, stitch around all the pieces, but we'll see. Maybe I will. Might work on that. I also oh, I was going to show you the bunny quilting. Hold on, I will grab it. It's just right here. Turn my iron off. Okay. So, let's see. I'm going to tip this up a little straighter so I can get far enough away and push my chair in, and then I'll come up close and show you. Oh, he's disappearing. But anyway, in the background of the bunny, I don't know if you can see it close enough. I quilted Easter eggs. In the ear, I did little fluffy things. And then the whole bunny is sort of quilted with that all over piece. And then I just added texture to his little bow tie. And I added texture to the egg. It was a ton of fun to do. And now all I have to do is trim it and get it ready. So, and Sharon said she has eyelashes. I'm like so excited. It's going to be the cutest bunny. It's absolutely going to be adorable. Oh, cool. That's way cool. So, you guys, this has been awesome. I hope you have an awesome week, and maybe those of you that live here in this area can get out for a walk this morning, or if it's still morning. Yep, it's still morning, 11:30. And enjoy some fresh air. Peter and I are gonna go outside for a little bit and enjoy the fresh air before it's gonna get cloudy and cold again. Ah! Anyway, all right. I will see you all next week. Have a great week, you guys. Take care.